I think Immortal has a better team play than us because Song was actually their coaches, but Immortal has a problem because they're not rocks. I think we can catch them.
The thing about Envy is they're kind of unpredictable.
Quadra kill for Niski!
I'm not sure how strong CLG is right now because they're using Omar God. Dardock was a big strength they had before.
Oh my god! Up by the Ringo!
I don't think CLG would be that strong because we beat them pretty easily last time.
Quadra kill for the new Team Dignitas bot lane starter. A sub 30-minute victory.
It's a good thing we got Omar out of all people we get because he's actually really motivated and willing to improve, but we only have 4 weeks to really get Omar acclimated and become a team again. It's just about using the time we do have to kind of go to higher heights than we were before.
Welcome to our final week of the 2017 Summer Split. Plenty is still on the line coming into Week 9 as the top of the table fight for playoff seeding and the bottom battle to avoid the promotion tournament. And earlier in the day, we caught Pobelter as he was making his way into the studio with Immortals. He's looking confident as ever, making a real close relationship, personal relationship with the camera. And of course, today he faces off against Niski and Lyra, an MVP candidate who has stepped up huge for Envy this split. Hello, everyone. I'm James Patterson, and joining me on the analyst desk is someone who always remembers to text when he gets home safely, Joshua Jat Leisman. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping my mind at ease when you make it home safely. I appreciate that.
I would say reliability is probably my main selling point, so no problem.
Can you believe that we're actually in the final week of the regular season, though?
It's fast. You forget that the regular season is only 9 weeks long.
Exactly.
Spring split, summer split, then we got a bunch of playoffs coming in, but feels like it just started.
Luckily, the end of the regular season doesn't mean the end of competitive League of Legends for the year. There's still plenty to take place beyond this week. Let's go ahead and kick things off by checking out the standings. Immortals and TSM come into the week tied for first place. Counterlogic Gaming sit behind them in third. Team Dignitas and Cloud9, they share fourth, followed by Team Envy in sixth. If we look at our schedule, we've got a preview of the postseason as playoff teams duke it out. The day starts with Team Envy versus Immortals, and then Darshan and Counterlogic Gaming matchup against Someday and Team Dignitas. So all in all, two really huge matchups today. And on top of being a postseason preview, the matches today will have direct consequences on playoff seeding.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the top of the standings there, first to fifth. 2 wins are only separating it, but you saw at the top, it's TSM and Immortals. Those are the guys that are trying to lock down the playoff bye because that means there's a whole week of elimination matches that they don't have to play.
So let's talk about how they get there. As you see their strength of schedules popping up on the bottom of the screen, what's required for these teams to lock in those buys?
Yeah, Immortals win a game. So
Just
win
one.
tonight or beat Echo Fox, and they're in.
Okay.
So they're pretty smooth sailing. You look at TSM, their schedule gets a little harder because they play CLG on Sunday, but they just have to beat Phoenix 1 because if that happens, even if they lose to CLG, they're probably going to have a higher enough win percentage from their game score to break that tie. So it's important that both these teams win to maintain that bye.
All right, so 1 win is all those 2 teams need. Let's look at our third place team in CLG. They have the highest range of variance in terms of where they can finish, I believe, from first all the way down to fifth, depending on how things go this weekend.
Exactly, and also variance in how they're going to perform. Even looking at game 1 of that Phoenix 1 series, where they looked great, absolutely dominated, and you were ready to praise them for that move of throwing Omar God in.
Right.
Then they lose the next 2 games to Ryu, Mike Young, and the rest of Phoenix 1. And that really hurts CLG as they're trying to find some consistency towards playoffs.
Right, and of course, if CLG want to prove that they deserve that bye, they're going to have to go through both Team Dignitas and TSM. So all eyes are going to be on Omar God to step up and fill those shoes here in the final week.
Yeah, Omar God against Shrimp is a really exciting matchup. CLG, even if they're not getting the playoff bye because they need a little bit of help with some Immortals or TSM losses, you want to go in as the third seed. You want to play Envy most likely in that first round of playoffs and get you a higher chance of going to the semifinals. Because remember, COD's not coming through with a lot of championship points. They lost the quarterfinal last split as well.
Right, and I think a lot of people have their eyes on that TSM-CLG matchup that we teased for later in the week. We have to remember that CLG first has to get through Team Dignitas, and Team Dignitas has been surging. They took down Immortals last week, our #1 seeded team at the moment, as well as have shown tremendous mastery over patches 7-14, and today transitioning to 7-15. I'll be curious to see how they stack up to that.
Yeah, they're kind of a dark horse contender almost right now, and if they keep winning, you could even consider that they have a chance of winning the split. But I have to see them sustain this success as more people copy what they're doing. Because Team Dignitas, I thought, was so fast to adapt to 7-13 and 7-14, and now I think people are going to kind of catch up. Now we have 7-15 with a lot of changes, but not the same meta-impacting changes.
All right, let's dive into 7-15 then. As you mentioned, not a ton of massive changes, but we do have a lot of them. Specific champions that you're looking at that might be able to make a fringe pick into the meta this week.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Azir and Twisted Fate.
Boom.
Two of the mid laners. There were over 20 champion nerfs or buffs, but all of them were fairly small. And the reason I want to point these two guys out is because these are meta mid laners of the past. And all these guys that are playing in the LCS mid lane right now are so experienced that they put a ton of games into Azir and a ton of games into Twisted Fate. And anytime they show up in patch notes, if you've played the champion before, you're going to give it another try. I think Azir fits in the meta right now as a tank shredder, and Twisted Fate fits in very well as a Taliyah replacement as Taliyah gets more bans. So I think both these guys will see play.
I mean, you mentioned that obviously these champions have been in the meta in past seasons, so most of the pros have a mastery of it, as well as they're just playmaking champions, right? The idea that I can affect the map and dictate the game makes pros want to reach for these champions in terms of pick ban phase.
Yep.
You talked about Azir and TF. I want to talk about Urgot.
Yeah.
Do you think, one, he'll be played? Two, how should he be played? Where would he be played? All that kind of junk. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, well, he's definitely available this week. It is the reworked Urgot, but I'm a little bit underwhelmed by Urgot, especially when I think of him fitting into the pro game. I see a lot of lane matchups that'll still favor the guy going up against Urgot. If you lane a Maokai up there, Urgot sure is going to push him in a little bit. He's not going to kill him, and then Maokai's going to be better in team fights.
Right.
Or you have the lane bullies that go up top lane like Gnar, and I think Urgot gets outranged in those situations. So I don't see a spot for him to play right now, unless someone brings it out as a surprise.
I was going to say,
seems to happen every time we bring a new champion.
That's always the underlying thing, right? Is did somebody put in so much time onto this champion that it doesn't matter if he's not exactly perfect for the meta, the surprise pick will kind of outweigh and end up tilting the matchup in their favor. That's going to do it from us here over in the analyst desk, so it's time to send it to the casters to get us into the games. Enjoy.
Thank you very much.